Hello and welcome to the show. Listen, I always want to thank you for tuning in to Tammy right here on our streaming network. Listen, you see me on Facebook, you see me on YouTube, and I want to thank you again. Listen, I get all the emails and the texts, and you call me and you let me know what you want to see. I also want to thank Quentin Washington for being on his show this week. What a wonderful time I had, Quentin. Thank you so very much for being the journalist that you are. Okay, so and every time I come on, before I introduce my guest, I always have something that I'd like to talk about. So what's on my mind today? Well, it's voting. We haven't gotten out of the woods yet. Of course, what I'm saying is in Georgia, if you're in Georgia and you're looking right now, we have to make sure that Reverend Raphael Warnock and Mr. John Ossoff get into the Senate seat. We need those seats really, really bad. And when I say we need them really bad, I mean we need those seats like it depended on our life, like our lives depends on it, because the Biden-Harris team can't do much of what they want to do if the Democrats do not control the Senate. So I'm hoping that you in Georgia, listen to me closely, that you're going to, if you're not registered to vote, that you're going to register to vote, number one. Number two, you're going to get out, vote early. Listen, they're doing it for the first part of December. Get out there and vote. And then, of course, if you can't do early voting, then there's January the 5th. So I hope that you do that for me. So that's what's on my mind. I mean, I want to make sure that we have control of that Senate and we get some of the things done that we need to get done in America today. Make America, as I said, we're going to make it great again. All right. So the other thing that's on my mind is coronavirus. I've been talking about it. I'm a microbiologist starting out. So what I want to say to you is please wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands. But now we're coming up on the holiday season. And since we're at the holiday time, it's time for you to get tested. If you want to see your loved ones, then get tested. Make sure that you're getting the test that you need and that they're coming back negative. So when you get with the family, and of course you're going to social distance there as well, that you don't spread the disease. For my family and I, which is my daughter and myself, it's just the two of us. She's already had her COVID test. I just had my COVID test. Came back today negative. So we're going to be together, just the two of us. But I'm urging you, family members out there, they're saying, stay home. Don't travel. Just do Zoom. I mean, we're going to do some Zooms with my Aunt Cindy and my cousins because last year, everybody was here with us. So I'm just urging you right now, make sure that you get tested. If you are not going to go anywhere, hey, listen, just be thankful. Be thankful, okay? That's what it's all about. All right, today's show is really talking about living in the pandemic during college and in business. I have a very special young lady who is at the University of Chicago. This is her second year. Now, she's written a lot of things, but I want you to hear this. She says that I am one with my body on every beat of a song. At a moment, I remember what my Black features mean in America. I dance to take control of myself, quote, unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to a very special young lady, Nyla Feroz, University of Chicago. How are you, Nyla?
Hi, Tammy. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Well, I'm happy that you are here with me. Thank you for being on the show today. Listen, I want to ask you a couple of things, but first of all, just tell us, who is Nyla?
Hello. So you already introduced me a bit, but I am a second year at the University of Chicago. What I do on campus is I do freestyle hip hop dance, and my personal style is popping. I work with a crew called Groove Theory. We have a lot of fun. And when I'm not dancing, my major is a cinema and media studies major. So I have a lot of fun with creative aspects of life, and it's been great so far.
Nyla, you are a very creative young lady. Now, I have read an article that you were featured in. I also had the opportunity to look at a video where you also narrated a letter. But I'm going to come back to that because when you talk about being this dancer, I want to know, did you always know you wanted to be a dancer?
Right. So I actually had no clue growing up that I was going to end up start dancing. I started a little bit in high school learning some choreographies for some school shows, but it never became a thing where I learned fundamentals or was planning to dance as something that was like my passion. Upon entering college, however, I started to go to some workshops run by the crew I'm currently in, Groove Theory, and the community was so welcoming and the style was so much fun that it just became a huge part of my life that I can't go back on.
Well, listen, we're talking about hip hop now. So I know you had to do a lot of research with hip hop and popping and, see, I could do a little bit of it. And so I know they laughing at me, but that's fun. That's fun. So one thing that I wanted you to talk about coming on the show was talk about being a college student during the pandemic. What's that like for you now? Because you're on the campus, correct?
Yes, I'm on campus right now.
And what is it like?
Yeah, so it's been very interesting to say the least. My school has adopted a half remote, half in-person setting. Personally, I didn't feel comfortable taking all in-person classes, so luckily I had the option to do online. And it's been an interesting experience because going to university classes on Zoom as a platform offers some interesting obstacles, such as internet connections or there's certain awkward pauses because people don't know whether to unmute during class discussions. So it's been difficult at times to feel engaged with my material or to feel like I'm having the full experience online. But as time goes on, I feel like professors have definitely done a good job of adapting to this new way of learning. So that's been good. And the one great thing about it is that all my peers around me are in the same situation. So it's been nice to talk with them about how we're feeling about it, find new ways to adapt, because although it isn't an ideal situation, it's definitely safer. And it's been a learning curve for all of us, but I can see it getting better and better as time goes on. But hopefully not too much time. Hopefully things go back to normal soon.
That's right. Well, you're in school now, and for some, they have had a lot of COVID cases. Have you all experienced COVID cases on your campus as well?
Right. So luckily, my campus has adopted a weekly testing procedure for anyone who's living on campus currently, which has been great. So there's been very few cases. It's been very contained on for my school personally, though Chicago as a whole has been having some difficulties.
Having those challenges, how have you been able to succeed? Because I can only imagine if you don't have the internet connection, because you're talking about hybrid. So some of the time you're in your apartment studying, and then some of the other time you're in class. Is that correct?
Right. So for some people who that's an option for most people, but personally I chose to do all online. So that's been definitely interesting.
Wow, now that is very interesting because that's pretty hard because just like you and I are talking now, if my connection goes out, like we tested it, the beginning of the week, and your connection goes out, then you miss a lot of the classroom. Has that happened to you?
Correct, that has happened to me. Luckily, to work against that, professors have started recording lectures so we can go back and look at what we missed. It does require a bit of extra time to compensate for little glitches like that. Usually, if you're in person, like you're experiencing the lecture firsthand, you don't have to go back because there's no internet connection difficulties in real life. So sometimes it does require a bit of extra time, though I guess it also saves time because I don't have to walk to class per se. So I think there are difficulties with it, but the pros kind of balance it out. It's just definitely a completely new way of learning that we've all adjusted to. So it's been very interesting.
I can only imagine. What about the anxiety? Have you felt any type of anxiety, or have you felt like, oh my God, this is just going to be too difficult for me to do? What has that been like for you?
Mm-hmm. So often with classes, I've experienced that since it's a new way of learning, professors assume that there's more time to just do things during the day because we don't have to walk to class per se. So there's been a higher workload I've experienced personally, such as readings and assignments, and that has been very stressful in the past, I'd say. But luckily, they've been open to communicating if there's any issues with that. So it
Mhm.
hasn't been too big of an issue. But personally, I've learned that communicating consistently with professors has definitely helped. I think right now as a whole, communication is something that has to be very important and consistent for us to get through this very difficult time. And it has been difficult, but I've used dance as an outlet for when I get too stressed. So that's been also great.
That's right. So I want to shift the conversation because I want to go to the article. I opened up with a part of what you wrote in your article in Exploring Race and how you really, articulated the what it means to be a Black woman now in this climate of where we are. Let's talk about a phrase, and you coined it. It's called unapologetic Blackness. Talk about what that means to you.
Yes, so often growing up, and it's something that I still struggle to embody today. But I've been told, for example, to like try not to be too loud or try to be so open with my personality at times because nobody wants to listen to a loud Black girl at times. And that's been something that I've struggled with because if I shouldn't have to stifle who I am as a person because someone will take it as fearful or something that with negative connotations due to stereotypes that have built over years of systemic racism. So I try my best to try to express who I am without any filters. Sometimes my unapologetic Blackness will just be something as simple as like dancing with my crew on the street and enjoying my culture and enjoying who I am without any hood coverings because I'm nervous if I see an officer or someone who looks at us kind of strangely, or I'll be walking down the street without trying to make myself smaller because I don't want to cause any issues or make anyone uncomfortable by my presence. It's something that I've definitely struggled with over the years, but I think each year it's something that I've worked on more and more and have successfully fought to do be unapologetically Black, and it's something that I try to advocate for even if it's something that I do have to still struggle with because it's not an overnight solution for any of it.
That's right. And being a young person, being a college student that you are, I can only imagine walking down the street, especially if you're with your dance crew. And we know hip hop has always had a connotation, not for us, for other folks that don't understand it. And your article was called "Freestyle is not a cure, but it's a good place to start." So that freestyle that you talk about is like that popping that you do and that pop locking that you do and all of that. So when you are doing that, you said that normalcy in life is dance for you. So is that where your normalcy, that's where you find your normalcy for right now?
I would say so, yes. I feel every week it's a place that I can come back to, and regardless of what's happened that week in the world or in my personal life, it's something that I have full control of. I control my body, I control what I do, I control what I hear, I control just everything about the experience. And it's something that has been consistently positive for me. Even when things are not so great during the world or in my personal life, I've consistently turned to dance to try to be a stress relief for that. And it's been extremely helpful so far, especially with my crew when I get to engage with people with this common interest and passion, which has been completely wonderful.
How exciting is that to really see your, be with your peers and feel free and not have to worry about police coming up and stopping you all. I mean, because that is a fear. That is something that can happen. And what is that got you? And what is that's been happening with you? I mean, you talk about the fear, but actually, when you see an officer, being a college student, you see an officer, what's your first reaction?
My first reaction is to try to make myself smaller and look down because I'm worried they'll think I'm up to something bad. Even if I'm often just trying to go to get my groceries or something. I try to compress my presence. I try to not make eye contact. I try to do whatever I can to show them that I am not a threat. And I am consistently not a threat. I shouldn't have to live like that. But there have been multiple experiences just from friends that I've had who've just had bad encounters with cops because they looked at them funny. There's countless stories on the news of of instances where things have gone wrong. Even when I was, say, like 13 years old, like going to a concert with my friends, like when the cops were trying to push us past a certain barrier to make sure that we wouldn't get like too much of a crowd, the cop grabbed me, not my white friend I was with or any of the white surrounding children who were 13-year-olds in the area. My experiences and my habits of responses are shaped by my experience and the experiences around me. So it's something that I try to work on while also being knowledgeable of the reality of how my experience encountering a cop or walking past a cop will be very different to my white counterparts.
So when you are with your white counterparts, your white friends, and you're having a conversation, how do you even begin the conversation? And what was it like after George Floyd for you?
After George Floyd, during my friend groups, actually, we had a lot of difficult conversations about how we were feeling, what that meant to us. Myself and my Black friends it was a time of a lot of, honestly, we feeling very anxious and very scared about the current state of the world, the past state of the world, the future state of the world. And it was very traumatizing, to be honest, to see so many instances of Black people being unjustly murdered and seeing people's responses to it, the belittling of it. It sparked some really important conversations of microaggressions or uncomfortable situations in personal friend groups that were always swept over, because it was a time where, with coronavirus, I wasn't going to hang out with people. There were no distractions of in-person classes. It was a time where this was a matter that had the time to be given the attention it deserves. And often the conversations were very uncomfortable. I did lose some connections with people because of it. But it definitely also came out of it a lot of growth and a lot of understanding between my friends about the differences of our circumstances and our life experiences, which was very enlightening for all of us involved.
Wow. And talking about that, because there's a twin pandemic. We're talking about racism and we're talking about coronavirus. I mean, so you have this on one hand, you have all the folks that are talking about, wow, that should have never happened. And then you have some folks say, well, that's what happens, and it's not the right thing. What do you think should be done for people to understand, if we can even get them to understand what it's like being Black?
I think the first place is sharing experiences or specific experiences that should seem a certain way, such as walking down the street when you pass a cop, and relaying how that is different when you're a Black person in America. I think by sharing these stories and these experiences and opening up emotionally about them, I think that's a good way to start, especially in finding understanding within your personal friend groups, especially since it's more personal between that person. They'll understand, oh, my friend, when we're walking down the street together, will have an immediately different experience. But I also think primarily it's important for people who don't understand to do that research, because it is very difficult emotionally and mentally for Black people to have to carry the weight of educating everyone else and bringing everyone else on the same page of where they are in terms of their trauma and their experience. It's not easy to talk about. So I think if other people try to take the time to look into it, even watching the news, there's so many terrible, tragic instances that can begin to help them understand. Just any sharing of information, any research is extremely helpful and can go a long way. And that's what I've been trying to do personally, just posting whatever I can on my Instagram, because I know that's a way that people will see it, or having conversations with my friends. Just open communication is very important during this time. It can go a long way.
We need to have you up in the White House. we need to make sure that you get up in the White House. Producers clapping her hands. I'm telling you. I mean, because what you're saying is what we need to hear. There have been so many conversations, and I've been in some of those conversations. And yes, they are difficult. They're very difficult. But it's not our job to teach people about our history. But it's hard when people don't understand, Nyla, that this history did happen, because you still have some people who think that none of this happened, that there were not enslaved Africans. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, and historic place, know about it, lived it. even growing up, being the first of one of the first 5 Blacks to go to an all-white school. Okay, so I mean, lived it. We know it, and so it's very hard. And so I'm glad to hear from you as a young person to tell us exactly what's on your mind and what you're thinking, because now we need to listen to you to move forward. One of the other things, though, I want to go back to your dancing, because some folks are having a very difficult time. And I know some of your friends may be having difficult times, but you have dance. So how do you use that dance to help you as well as your friends in your circle to kind of move through this? I mean, it's like you said, this is something that we've never seen before. So how do you use that?
Right. Currently with group theory, what we do is each week we have normal practices where we'll go on to Zoom and we'll try to learn different foundational dances such as popping, which is my style, but there's also house, there's locking, there's whacking. There's so many different styles to learn from each other. And we just try to come together as a community. I feel like with freestyle hip hop dance, the primary driver of it, the primary thing that drew me in is the community, is the sense of camaraderie that you feel with each other. So I feel like during difficult times, they're always a place that I can come back to. And even if I can't reach out to them, what they've taught me, what we've taught each other is a place to come back to. I can dance alone in my room when I'm feeling sad. I can dance outside on my balcony when I'm having a particularly rough day. And if I can't dance, if I can't meet them, it also opens up opportunities for me to see other people dance online, for example, or the collaboration I did with Yoram Savion of Yak Films, where we talked about a video that came out years ago called R.I.P. Rich D, and we collaborated on that. I reached out to them with an email during the time of George Floyd because it was a very difficult time, and dance gave me that connection. It gave me that opportunity. It allowed me to gain emotional fulfillment, and without even having to dance myself, it just creates so much opportunity in life and communication that's just consistently helpful no matter what the situation is.
Yeah, one of the things that I wanted to talk about the Rich D, well, I know you said that because of George Floyd, you kind of reached out to the film company to really do this. And when I listened to it, Nyla, I heard the pain, I heard some encouragement, but the main thing was that you just enjoyed watching those guys dance. And give me some, because everybody, we don't have the video. It was too long for us to show it. But kind of talk about that and share that with us right now.
Right. So this was a video that was filmed in Chicago. It was following the death of a man named Rich D, who was a dancer. And on the street where they filmed the video, he died the previous day from a hit and run incident. He was hit by a car. And Yoram Savion filmed these dancers, one of which was Rich D's brother, dancing in the street, freestyling in honor of him. And actually, the original video had no music. It was just them with each other in honor of Rich D, just emoting through their dance moves, emoting through their freestyle. And after I watched that initially a month before I reached out to Yoram Savion of Yak Films for a class actually called Screen Dance. And in light of everything with George Floyd and everything that was happening, the protests, which was very difficult, in light of the conversations that I had in my personal life with my friends, which were very difficult, I revisited that video, and it reached a chord in me, just seeing them struggle with use dance as an outlet after a traumatic experience happened with them, after a death happened with them. And I wasn't expecting to make a collaboration with Yoram Savion. I just wanted to reach out and let him know that by producing this video, it really impacted me and what he's doing for other people as well. And I just wanted to share some sort of art with them. I shared my poems with them in return because I received so much from that video. And after that, we communicated and we made a video together, which was great, which was even more joy that I got out of dance from that.
Yeah, I mean, when I sat back and I listened to that particular letter that you so poignantly orated, it was just, I mean, it was touching. And I said, wow, this young lady is a powerful young lady. So I see that you love to write. You talked about being in cinema and what you're doing now with your major. So where's that going to take you? What are you looking forward to, Nyla, the future?
Right now, yes, right now I'm excited. What I do right now with film primarily is I make a bunch of birthday videos with my friends, for my friends actually, for their birthdays. And I've been using that to practice making film in terms of editing and the production side. So I'm interested in transferring those skill sets and making future videos for them, of course, but also in terms of perhaps joining a production company for an internship, or getting more hands-on experience with film as a whole, because I want to learn more, I want to create more. I love creating, and I think this is another outlet alongside with dance that can bring me a lot of joy during
Wow.
difficult situations in general.
Wow. Well, listen, will you do one of the pop? Can we do it together? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. Wow. I love it. I love it. See, I'm not stiff. You know, I love to dance, and music is what I love. So that helps me, singing and playing the piano and all. That helps me get through as well while we've
It's
been going through the
amazing.
pandemic. So I want you to tell me, what is the one thing that you'd like to say to young people right now that are going through the pandemic, and how can you relate that to them so that it can help somebody along the way?
Of course. So right now is a very difficult time. I know life seems completely different from how it was before, but I think an important note about it is to appreciate all that we have, that we still have, in terms of the relationships that we have, the experiences that we're able to have. Because this pandemic could have happened ages ago when we didn't have technology, when we'd be completely isolated, or else we'd be risking our lives. But right now we're able to find other ways to connect. Like right now we're on a virtual show. So I would say try to change your mindset instead of thinking of what you wish you had, what parties you wish you can go to, or whatever you want. Instead, appreciate what you do have in your life, what you're able to still have in your life, and try to consistently stay safe for yourself and other people, because you're not just risking yourself when you go out without a mask. And this could end sooner if we all just like come together, have these difficult conversations, make these difficult efforts, and just try to be happy with what we've got.
Wow, I tell you what, you are just fabulous, my darling. So let's talk about last thing. I'm going to ask you 3 words that describe Nyla.
Nyla, I would say, is optimistic, creative, and ooh, untapped. I'll say untapped because I'd like to say that there's more to me that I haven't yet explored.
That is definitely, that's definitely so. Definitely optimistic, creative, and untapped. And that you certainly are. Nyla
Thank you.
Feroz, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. Listen, you just have such a wealth of information to share, and you're just so bright and bubbly, and I just enjoy talking with you. I mean, listen, having a conversation with you, I got to pull out the dictionary and look at and do all kinds of things. I mean, but seriously, I enjoyed having you on the show, talking with you, and I want you to come back and share with me next year in 2021. And I want to see where you're going, where you are in your 3rd year. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. This is amazing.
Oh, you are quite welcome, my darling. Thank you so much, Nyla, for being on the show. All right. See you in a little bit. Listen, you heard Nyla Feroz. I don't know about you, but I'm going to tell you, if we have our young people that are doing what she's doing a lot in this country future is bright. Do you hear what I'm telling you? So listen to what she's telling you. And we've got to keep it moving. Communication. We've got to communicate. Love it, Nyla. Thank you so much. Well, we're going to get ready for the next guest. And I'm going to bring out someone very special to me. And she's going to introduce someone who's very special to both of us. So introducing to you, Miss Alicia. Come on out.
Hey, sis, how are you?
Fine, sis. How are you?
Good, good, good. Thank you for the honor to introduce our next guest. And I'm going to take you on out and introduce
Yes, ma'am. Bye.
someone very special. Hey, everybody. My name is Alicia Simmons. I am the producer of The Tammy Show. It is a great honor that I introduce a very dear friend. We've been friends for over 40 years, guys. Can you believe it? 40 years. And even losing contact with each other and once getting back in contact with each other, we never stopped to beat. We're each other's sisters. I thought I was Spanish for a very long period of my life until my father had to tell me who I really was. But I've learned a lot of Spanish curse words from this young lady. I learned how to eat lots of Spanish food from this lady. And most of all, I learned what a true sister is. And again, as you know, Tammy and I sisters, Elvia and I sisters, and just to have that bond in itself. And again, I want to thank Nyla. Her mother is out there listening, Lysandra. Hey, lady, miss you. But again, that's called sisterhood. And we will have another show about what sisterhood is. Sometimes it's not always blood. And Nyla, I did not put up your picture of your sister. And Tammy, if you don't mind, I'm just going to take a moment just to put up other nieces, I would say. So proud to put up Nyla. Now I'm going to bring you back on real quick
Hello.
so I can pull up your sister. I got to give her a shout out. And there she is. And
Yes,
tell
it's
us
my
about
sister
your
Hopkins. She's amazing. Yeah,
Yes,
so
yes.
Hoppy is a third year at the college, and she's amazing. She made this experience being here so much easier. It's so like amazing to rely on her whenever I need to. I slept at her apartment last night. She's the best sister I could ask for.
Thanks. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, she has her blood sister. But again, I don't have any sisters. But I have two beautiful sisters, Tammy and Elvia. Elvia Augusto. As you see, I still have that accent, all right? So we're from the Bronx, and I just want to bring her on in and say hello to my sister Elvia. Hey, how are you? Unmute yourself. So she's not tech savvy. So we're going to help her with this. So unmute yourself. There you go, my love. How are
Okay.
you?
I'm good. How are you? It's cold here. It's
Good.
freezing.
Oh, it's not. I mean, it's cold here in South Carolina, but not as cold. But I'm going to stop talking to you because you and I talk forever. But I want everyone to just hear the great things that you're doing. And I'm so proud of you. And thank you for being on the Tammy Show. All right, let's bring Tammy on in. Take me out. All right,
All
look at all.
right.
Hey,
All right, my
girl.
sisters. All right. Thank you so much. Hey,
How you
hola.
doing? Hola.
¿Cómo está? Muy bien, gracias. Sí. Sí. Listen, Elvia, wow. Thank you so much for being on the show, my sister. Alicia, what a wonderful introduction talking about friendship, and Nyla being able to see the picture of her sister and all of that. Elvia, I want you to come on the show because you are a businesswoman.
Yes,
We're going to
I
talk
am.
about friendships coming up soon, but you're a businesswoman. Let's talk about Elvia.
Yes.
How did you get into, or what inspired you to start Mr. Braun?
So many things. First of all, I'm an animal lover. I love dogs. If I can have hundreds and hundreds of them, I would, but I can't. So basically I've always liked creating, designing. And so one day I go into Petco to get Braun a collar, and I said, wait a minute, this is boring. And then it hit me, why not create design collars for dogs that are couture, that represent their fur parents, that's different. And that's how it started, really. So I kind of fell into it, which was great. And it's just been, an up and down, a roller coaster, but it's never a dull moment.
Wow. Elvia, one of the things that I love about you is that you have always been a woman who has taken the initiative to really just do things and start things. And because, you're also an interior designer.
Yes.
Remember when I was doing my other home, out in the country, and you said, okay, put this over there, do this, and you sent me all those pictures. I remember that, and I love that so much, and that's been years ago.
Yes.
And so now you've evolved.
Yes.
And so let's talk about this, because Mr. Braun, you've been doing this, the dog collars, which are designer collars, and then the pandemic hit. You took a shift. Talk about that.
I did. First of all, I don't think anyone thought that it was going to end up this way, that it was going to be so lengthy. Honestly, we thought it was 6 weeks, no problem. Let's get back to life. No. So I kind of got stuck because it was scary. It's like, okay, there's a pandemic. This is real. I can't be creative. My juices are not flowing. What am I going to do? I'm not working. I'm not designing. What am I going to do? So I said, you know what? Let me just make some masks. There's a shortage in masks, so let me just make some. And because I'm from the Bronx, I said, you know what? Let me donate to Montefiore Hospital. Why not, for the kids? So one thing led to another, and honestly, I think I've made thousands and thousands of masks, which was okay because I was so nervous. And I said, where am I going to get the fabric from? I said, the collars. Why not? Took all that, made it. And then I said, wait a minute, why don't I make masks to match collars? And so that's where I'm at now. But again, I just fell into it.
Well, and you know, that's one of the things that I love about you and about a lot of our African American business owners. We have learned to shift. And I've had other business owners coming on, and I was talking to Nyla about shifting. That word seems to be very important in our community when we talk about shifting, because you not only did that, I mean, you're still doing your dog collars.
Yes.
You made masks for toys, little tiny, teeny tiny toys. Can we show that?
I was thinking.
And guess what? You were able to do that and send it off to folks.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Oh my goodness. So one of my fur clients contacted me. She works for a huge marketing company in the city. And she says, you know, you got to help me out. I know you sew, and I've seen you made some big masks. I need you to do me a favor and make a tiny mask. I said, yeah, why not? How hard can it be? I mean, their whole concept is, you know, you remove the mask when the new year, blah, blah, blah. Typical marketing company, right? No problem. She sends me this doll that is like yay big. So I said, what am I going to do? Hey, I'm Mr. Braun, so we're going to make it happen. So I designed it as tiny as I can. These masks were 1.5 by 2 inches. You can imagine. And there were 1,000 of them. By the time I finished the last one, I was nauseous. I had a headache. You name it. But I did it. Why not? You know,
that's you. That's you, Elvia. That is you.
it was a big challenge, but I did it. No one else wanted to do it. And I said, I'm going to do it. Then I said, what was I thinking? What was I thinking?
Right. Well, now, as you're doing this, what is it like for you to be able to see your creations come to fruition? Because a lot of times, and being able to sell them.
Oh my God. First of all, with the tiny mask, this was someone else's vision. It wasn't mine. So seeing him happy and being able to design it and execute was like, wow. It is like the biggest high there is. And it just keeps flowing. I mean, a collar is not just the collar. There's a lot that goes into it. Now I'm doing embroidery, so I am actually designing the collar from start to finish. You know, it just goes on and on. It just keeps evolving. It may seem difficult, but for me, it's more of a design challenge, and I love designing and creating. So it just keeps me alive, and I love doing it.
And where do you get the ideas from? I want us to show the mask. If we can show the collar. If we
Sure.
can show the collar, where do you get the ideas from?
You're not going to believe it. It just pops in my head. And I just stare into space and they're like, uh-oh, she's thinking about a design. Uh-oh. And I said, I wonder if I could do this way. It just pops in my mind. It's not something that I'm like, oh, I would like to do this. Just randomly, it'll come into my head. And then I kind of like draw it out. I'll design it on the computer and then just throw it on the collar. 9 out of 10 times, it's perfection. So I don't know how it happens. It's magic from the universe.
It's magic. So, Elvia, talk about the different types of collars that you have, because I know some folks will want to know how to get in touch with you, and we'll put all that information up. But talk about what are the different collars that you make. I mean, you have unique designs. So, where does the fabric come from? How does that process work for you?
I first of all go to a very, very high-end fabric store in Monroe, the Bulk Quilt, which I did make something for them. So I make sure that I get the highest quality cotton, because that's what really holds its shape. Currently, I'm just working for oversized dogs. I call them my gentle giants. So I make quick release collars for them, martingale collars, which is the best collar, kind of like to have more control, and just simple collars, but they're 2 inches wide, and the largest one I've made is 36 inches. So these are like little cows, and it's not fair to them because there really isn't much of designs for them. So I said, why not? And it's been successful. Most of my fur clients are from Canada. I've had a few from Europe, so it's going well.
So that's great to hear. During the pandemic, you are still doing and being successful. So have you had any challenges? So I guess my question for you is, have you had any challenges with your business during the pandemic at all?
Definitely, because then there was this whole thing about, okay, even if you order online and you get your products, so you have to disinfect, you have to do this. And in the beginning of the whole pandemic, I kind of stepped back because of that, because this whole corona, virus was and it still is such a mystery. So I didn't want to jeopardize that. So I kind of pulled back a little. So I think that my business suffered because I pulled back just to get more information and know that, okay, online ordering is fine. I mean, I have a room that's specifically just for sewing. Just before I finish, everything is steamed and sterilized, but still, I just wanted to make sure. So it did suffer, but because I pulled back because I needed more information.
Mm-hmm. And that's the importance of a business owner. You've got to know when to do your research, when to walk, when to fold, and when to keep running. If you're gonna keep running.
Yeah.
And you have done that. I mean, you're such an inspiration. One of the other things that brings to mind as we're talking about the pandemic is you live close to New York.
Yes.
And how has that been for you? Because New York was shut down completely.
Oh my God. It was scary because, like you said, we're borderline with New York. And then all of a sudden, now Connecticut is a hot spot. And I am also a healthcare worker. So it was just so many emotions going through my head. Like, everyone's saying that the end of the world is going to come. And I'm like, is this what they meant when they said the end of the world is going to come? Very, very scary. It was very eerie. No one in the street, like, I just can't explain it, but I knew once it hit New York, it was only a matter of time before it flowed onto us, because we're borderline. And sure enough, even till this day now, we're again taking more precautions. I'm hoping that there is no shutdown. And just it's awful. It's awful.
Yeah, I can only imagine, because even here, being sheltered in place, I mean, you know, you're in your home, you're by yourself, or you're with your significant other, and that can really just be tight and can cause a lot of anxiety, as I talk with Nyla about it,
Yeah.
a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, and those things come up. And so, just like you say, we are a people that that persevere,
Yes.
and so we know how to make the shift. We know how to make the changes. And I'm so grateful that you came on the show to really talk about your experiences
Yeah.
and being transparent about it,
Oh,
Elvia.
definitely. And I think that the more that this whole pandemic, the information surfaced, I mean, every time you turn around, there was like, he said this or he said that, and it was always negative. I gotta say though that sewing saved my life, because that's all I wanted to do. Because when I'm sewing, I'm literally not thinking about anything. I'm in a happy place. So I was just sewing and sewing and sewing, and that's how I was able to sew all those masks, and just kept just sewing, and that was my escape, you know.
You know, Elvia, I want to take this time to thank you for being the healthcare worker that you are, because you risk your life every day. I mean,
Yes.
when you go into the office, you're working with people, you know, and you have to touch people and all. And so I want to thank you for being the
You're
healthcare
welcome.
worker
Thank
that you
you.
are. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. You know, the last thing that I want to ask you about is about Mr. Braun. How do we get in touch with you? What do you want people to do?
Girlfriend, MrBraun.com is where you find me. I'm also on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. It's just an online store. So if you, where is it? That's the one. MrBraun.com. You'll find me. And if you have any questions, send me a message.
We're going to make sure that we send the messages to you. And folks,
Yes.
if you want to get in touch with Elvia, go to Just for Dogs at MrBraun.com. Go to the website. I mean, check it out. I love watching. I love looking at the materials. I love seeing the different types of collars that you offer for dogs. Now, I don't have any pets, so I know some folks that do. So do you offer gift certificates with Mr. Braun?
I do, and hopefully soon, the new year 2021, Mr. Braun is going to expand a little bit more. Anything that has to do with dogs, just because, I mean, you don't have to have a dog to be a dog lover, right? Maybe you want a wallet that has dog prints. Maybe you want the scarf, things like that. A bag, even a belt. Heck. So we want to offer that to those people that just don't have dogs but love dogs. So a lot of accessories are coming into Mr. Braun, to kind of like, how can I put it? Kind of like to be able to have a wider broad of clients, I guess, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
are you?
Yeah, yeah. You know, your span, your reach will
Yes.
reach out to other clients.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about, the versatility of what you
Yes.
do. Now, you lease collars, you have collars and masks, and so you lease those as well?
If I what?
Lease. Oh, the leash. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
okay.
read it
I'm
wrong.
like, honey, I
New
don't
York,
lease. You
the
gotta buy
leash. Yeah, I
it.
was going to say, but the leash. So
Yes,
you
the
also do the
leash.
leash.
Yes.
Okay.
Different size leashes, but again, because that now Mr. Braun is gonna be specifically for the gentle giants. We'll have maybe like 2 different types of leashes. There's so many out there, and I'm open to ideas. Like, I'll have clients call me and say, listen, I need you to custom make this for me, or if it has 3 handles or whatever it is, I do customize what they want. But you know, a leash is a leash at the end of the day, you know.
Jennifer said that you also made a makeup bag. You make makeup bags?
I do, and that's coming 2021. So we're doing this. We're expanding. You know, we want to reach out to those people that don't have dogs but love dogs. Why not, right?
Right. That's right. You got to keep things going. And
Absolutely.
Nilsa Ramirez.
Yes.
She, you know, yes, I know who that is. Your daughter, of course. And, yes, and she is just putting all kind of wonderful comments about what
Oh,
you all
great.
are doing. Oh yeah. Oh yes, yes. And she said yes. Okay.
Yes. That's my job. Yes.
Listen, you make dog beds as well.
I have in the past. It's a little more involved because I do carpentry as well. I made a couple of beds. I was almost gonna introduce it. Thanks, Felicia. Love you too. I was gonna introduce it to the store, but it's a lot more involved. So, you know, I had to step it back a little bit. But yeah, I've made dog beds. Noodles loves his bed. He's got a few.
Well, that you know that's the beauty of talking with you, Elvia. When I first met you and we all connected, and it's just like you opened up so much. So I want to ask you, what would you want to say to someone now who's thinking about going into business? What would you tell them?
It's going to be scary because you hear all these, you know, negative things. You lose a lot, or you know, it is frustrating, but you gotta follow your heart, no matter how hard it seems. You just got to keep going forward and keep going forward and it'll just blossom into something beautiful. You know, you cannot, even if the fear is there, you have to push it aside. You got to keep going, no matter what. No matter what.
And Jennifer also said that everything is possible. And of course, we know that just listening to you and all that you've been doing in your life. As I said, you're an interior decorator. Now you're telling me that you know how to do crafts and make beds and all this kinds of stuff. And then of course now you make the mask and you
Yeah.
have the dog collars.
Yeah.
Very creative, very versatile. And that's what's going to keep you going.
Absolutely. It's never a dull moment in my life.
That's right. So surviving, what would your final message be to tell someone who's in the pandemic now, who may not see a light at the end of the tunnel as far as their business is concerned? What would you want to say to them right now?
Wow. First of all, take a step back and just dig deep inside of you. Each and every one of us have a gift. And no matter who you are, you have a gift. And just believe. It doesn't matter what it seems like. If your business is falling apart, just keep believing, keep moving forward. Figure out ways how to kind of like evolve into something else. Like me, okay, I sew, I design collars. Why not make masks? I never thought I was going to make masks. Like that wasn't my thing, but it was part of surviving. So just dig deep and see what else can you do to keep moving forward, but don't look back and don't be sad. Just keep moving forward.
Keep going forward. I love it. Elvia, while you're still on, I want to show some of the pictures. We
Sure.
have some beautiful pictures that you sent us. So can we see those, producer? What's
Oh
this,
yeah.
Elvia?
This is a oversized dog collar. These collars are 36 inches each, and they're custom made.
Wow.
So I said, bring it on. When I see that picture, it's kind of scary because it can wrap around someone's waist easily. And to think
Wow.
this is for a dog, you won't find that in a store. You won't.
Custom made. That's what
Custom
you
made.
are. Custom made. Okay, we've got another picture. Okay, and these are the masks.
Yes. Those are the masks that I made, and most of that fabric came from, you know, my college stash. This went to a vet hospital in New Hampshire. They were the
Mm.
first ones that I made I was gonna say collars mask for. So yeah, it was challenging. It was a bit of a lot of work because I've never done masks before.
Mm-hmm.
But it went to a for a good cause. So
Wow. And then I know there's another picture. This is some more these are some more collars.
yes, those are the very first collars that I made. And as you can see, I just like different. I like
Mm-hmm.
for someone to look at my collar and go, okay, wow, where did you get that? It's different, you know. So that was
Yeah.
fun too.
And then there's another one. Now I love this. This is for the Children's Hospital, correct?
Yes, and what I did was I made maybe like 100, 200 children masks, and from each fabric I took a little piece and I said, why not deliver it making my own bag? So I made the bag from it. I stuffed all the masks and I took it to the hospital, and they were so
Wow.
happy, so happy.
Wow.
And it's part of being creative and just do it.
Wow. You know, and that's just one of the things. Look at you there. That's a
That
beautiful gift.
Yes, that was for the Bolt Quilt Shop. That is my goal too. She is kind of like New York native, so she's got that flair that I like. So when I
Mm-hmm.
go there, she never disappoints. So I said, you know what? Why not make her a little gift so that
Oh,
she knows Mr. Braun loves her? And she was
wow.
ecstatic.
That is
I was glad to
fabulous.
do that for her.
Wow. Well, listen, Elvia, we're getting ready to go off the air, but there's one last thing that I want to ask you about, my darling. Give
Okay.
us 3 words that describe Elvia.
Honey. Fabulous. Fearless. Oh, highly creative.
Right. All right. Listen, Elvia, thank you so much for being on the show.
Tammy,
I
thank
love
you
you.
for having me. And we definitely got to catch up when all this is over. We
That's
got to
right,
do a girls trip.
my
Something.
sister. That's
Yeah.
right. We got to do it. Listen, much to you with Mr. Braun. Good luck to you. God's blessings and speeds to you on Mr. Braun. And I love you and thank you. You'll be back on.
Oh,
Okay.
definitely. Thank you so
All
much,
right.
Tammy.
Thank you. Wait for me in the green room. I'll be backstage in a little bit. All right. Listen, you heard it today. We've had 2 wonderful guests on, Nyla Fados and, of course, Elvira Guto of Mr. Braun. I mean, what could you ask for? The messages from this, keep it moving. You know, keep the faith. Be creative. Everything is possible. And one thing that I love with the both of them is that they give back. And the one word that came up in the 3 words that I asked them about was highly creative. That word creative. So folks, we've got to be creative as we move forward in this new normal that we're in. Keep the faith. Do all that you can do. Remember, everything is possible. And you know, I'm a Christian, so I'm going to say it. With God, everything's impossible. You cannot fail. You cannot fail. Do you hear me? You cannot fail. So remember, I'm going to do it. Wear your mask. Wear your mask now. Come on. Make sure we do it. All my sorrows out there. And then, of course, I'll see you next week. I'm trying to put it on the right way so y'all can see it. All right? Wear your mask. Wash your hands. And next week, we won't have another show, folks. But it's Thanksgiving. So I want to tell you all, be thankful. Enjoy life. It's too short. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe. I love you and take care of yourself. Until the next time. Bye-bye.